It's a big honor.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
And the Tennessee Volunteers are the SEC Tournament champions. It's been a long time coming. The last time Tennessee won this tournament was in 1979, but they've got another trophy to put in the trophy case at Thompson Bowling Arena.
The 2023 SEC champions, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hit high in the air into left field. Stevenson circling in front of the fence into foul ground. He goes into the corner, makes the catch, and that's the ball game.
And the Volunteers will hold the trophy.
How much fun is this, man? God, I love it. High fly, deep right, and Tennessee walks it off.
The 2-2 to Denton.
Well hit, deep left field, it is gone!
For the win for the Volunteers. From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, this is college football at its absolute best.
Welcome into the Vol Fanatic Show. Dude, I got chills going up my arms after watching that video of my man Michael putting that together. Welcome into the Vol Fanatic Show, whether you're watching us live on YouTube or listening to us later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you tuning into the show. My name is Skylar. Michael, my co-host. How are we doing today?
Dude, doesn't that video just make you want to run through a brick wall for Tennessee, man?
Slam, bro. Oh my God, that grand slam by Drew Gilbert. Oh,
that was awesome. And then the Zane Denton home run too. I remember watching that game as well. Awesome seeing those clips of Tennessee success in the past. And I mean, we couldn't leave out the last second field goal against Alabama.
No,
I mean that was a must. But
no, Bama fans are down bad right now. We got to keep them. We got to keep them down. You know what I'm saying? No, man, we've been working really hard behind the scenes, as you could tell. We got some pretty big news to share. We got 2 big segments on the show. First, we're going to run over the Lady Vols, the men's, and then talk about some of those allegations / the investigation that's going on. Investigation 27.3 / A section B. I don't know. It's so many to keep up with now.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Michael, shout out of the week.
My shout out of the week this week is going to be a young man that lives on my mail route. I am a mail carrier in Culleoka, and this young man has come up to me numerous times and said, "Man, I've listened to your podcast." He said, I enjoy it, and I've got a Tennessee hat that I wear every day when I'm out there. And he says, "Man, I love that hat too." Caleb Vieira, awesome young man. Like I said, he talks to me about sports quite a bit, especially Tennessee. He's watched the podcast, and he's actually got a YouTube video. It's not real big, or a YouTube channel, sorry, not real big, but where he will shout out other people's channels on his channel, and he actually shouted us out this week on his channel. So shout out to Caleb.
That's awesome, Caleb, and we appreciate you, my guy, and we're just trying to return the favor, I guess, 1 for 1.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
You're going to have to send me his information. I'll check him out for sure. And then this week, I also have a shout out of the week. I'm going to shout out my grandparents on my dad's side. You sent me a message last night. I was like, yo, we busted 200 subs on YouTube. And, my grandfather was 199 and my grandmother was 200. So massive shout out to them. They didn't know how to do it, so they just gave me their iPad and was like, you subscribe. And I was like, well, are you going to watch? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And so they were 199 and 200, and I'm sure they're listening today. If not now, then they will be. They work nonstop, so whatever is most convenient for them. But no, man, let's jump straight into this. We've got some exciting news, and that is the fact that we now have an exclusive sponsor for the channel. Chris Smith Insurance out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. He obviously covers home, auto, commercial, life, toys, boats, RVs, etc. If you don't have an agent, that you know, like, and trust, then you should call Chris and his team. When his customers have a home claim, he actually shows up and meets the adjuster on site. I can promise you, being in the restoration business, that is one of very few that will actually go out his way to do that. He is your advocate and not just an insurance agent. That's a big deal. And as always, all insurance is not equal. So once again, if you need insurance, please look up Chris Smith Insurance, or give him a call at 865-272-3387. Chris Smith Insurance. We appreciate you, my guy. Now, without further ado, it was kind of an up and down basketball week, wasn't it?
It was. The beginning of the week didn't start off so hot, but end of the week was definitely a high point for Tennessee. So we're going to go right in to the Lady Vols. The week didn't start off too well on this note. Ole Miss beats the Tennessee Lady Vols in Oxford 80-75 on Sunday. Skylar, what are some of your thoughts for this game here?
Just couldn't put it all together. Ole Miss had, obviously, their head coach kind of got onto Oxford a little bit for lack of fandom or attendance at the Lady Vols. So they came out with a vengeance that very next game, and I think she knew what she was doing. She knew that she had the Lady Vols coming into town. So Oxford for the ladies, I mean, that was a pretty loud environment. They were up, and we couldn't get out ahead and stay ahead. I mean, it was just kind of a back and forth affair, and they kind of kept us at arm's length the entire game. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's just one of those games. I didn't feel like we played bad. I just felt like Ole Miss had a really good game and a great game plan against Rickea Jackson as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I give you some of my thoughts, you asked me before the show, we are live on Facebook today, guys. We are able to go live on Facebook. So It is live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. I believe we're also live on Twitter as well. So we've been trying to get that up for the last couple of weeks, but unfortunately we were just too new on Facebook. We just created the Facebook page a couple weeks ago, but we are live on Facebook. So you can join us on there, join us on YouTube. But some thoughts that I had on this game here. You're right. Tennessee did not play bad in this game, but the big key that I see in this game right here, and I watched this game after we got off of our live last Sunday. Tennessee's fast break defense, the transition defense, is atrocious right now, which is a big problem. Ole Miss scored 18 points in fast break points last week. That was key for them. I mean, whether Tennessee made a basket or missed a basket, Ole Miss was just getting it out quick, hitting the secondary break and getting down the floor, and they would have 3-on-2 opportunities, 3-on-1 opportunities, stuff like that, and just getting easy baskets with a pass or two here or there. I mean, other than that, Tennessee, they shot 8 of 18 from the three-point line in the game. That was just shy of 45%. They shot 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Now, Ole Miss was 10 of 12, so they made a few more of those. But rebounds, Ole Miss did out-rebound Tennessee by a little bit. It was 38-30. Assist numbers were pretty equal. Turnover numbers were pretty equal as well. It just came down to the steals and the blocks and the fast break points that Ole Miss had. Ole Miss had 9 steals compared to Tennessee's 2 and 8 blocks compared to Tennessee's 2. And, normally you see the Lady Vols teams getting those type of numbers against other teams. And on Sunday of last week, it was just the other way around.
Right. Something that stuck out to me when you were reading some of those numbers is the fact that the Lady Vols actually shot 8 of 18 at the three-point line. And they were shot nearly 45% from behind the arc. I mean, that's pretty exceptional. You take that every day. And on the flip side, Ole Miss only shot 2 of 12. 16%, and yet they still found a way to get all those easy buckets like you were talking about in transition and whatnot. And that was the key difference in the game. Usually, like you mentioned, Tennessee is that team that likes to pass it down low, get in the post, and get those dirty baskets in the paint and whatnot. But quite the opposite here in this game against Ole Miss. And, is that poor defense? I mean, both teams nearly shot 50% in the field. I mean, so
Yes.
is this just a poor defensive game plan, or is this just one of those one-offs, or is this something that we should raise a red flag about moving as we get later half of the season?
Well, kind of like I mentioned, it's one of those things where you're starting to raise that red flag a little bit because all of it was or a good chunk of it was in the transition defense. And
Right.
Tennessee has not done well in that all year long. And it really showed against Ole Miss because they took advantage of that. If it was not for the fast break points that they got in the game, Tennessee wins this game by probably 8 or 10 on the other side because, the fast break points were 18-6 in Ole Miss's favor. And also, points off turnovers. That's another place that Ole Miss really thrived was they had 15 points compared to Tennessee's 7 off of turnovers. So that's just a transition defense not doing well. And it's not the first time I've seen that this year, but it's something that really stood out for me against Ole Miss.
I got you. And as we go along this game, I really don't want to understate the fact that Jewel Spear
went off
had a baller of a game, my guy. 30 points. Kind of that person that stepped up when, Rakia Jackson didn't have her best game. I mean, still got 15 points, but you talk about somebody that really stepped up when we needed it. And Jewel Spear answered the calling, and she has been for the last several games now. And that's something exciting. I know the record isn't the greatest. I think we're now 12-7. We're still 5-2 in the SEC, though. We're still in the top, 3 or 4 teams in the SEC. But hopefully this Lady Vols team is getting to where they're coming around and, put it all together here in the back half of the season. Because at the end of the day, kind of like baseball, man, you can start out slow all you want to. It's about how you finish the season, getting hot at the right time, and making a move in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to you before we went live, I got to give credit to Ole Miss for their defense in the second half, especially. Rakia Jackson had 13 points in the first half. I mean, she was doing pretty much whatever she wanted to. And in the second half, she only had 2 points. And that was early in the third quarter. So she did not score at all in the fourth quarter. And I credit that to Ole Miss's defense in the game. But Jewel Spear did what she needed to. Really looking for some other people to step up as well. Tamari Key did not have a good game in this one. She only played 16 minutes, only had 2 rebounds. She had 3 fouls and did not score in the game. Now, I think that's more of a one-off. I'm not expecting to see Tamari Key struggle like she did against Ole Miss in games going forward, but that did hurt Tennessee in the game because you only had 2 players in double figures. That was Jewel Spear and Rakia Jackson, where Ole Miss, they had 4 players in double figures. They had Davis. I don't have their first names here, but Davis with 23, Richardson with 21 off the bench, Scott with 15, and then Todd Willis with 12.
No, Carissa Richardson for Ole Miss just had a baller of a game. I mean, 9 from 10 from the field, 21 points. That, along with Rakia Jackson not getting a single point in the fourth quarter, was the game. I mean,
absolutely.
A Josh Pate special, a padlock stat, It's just one of those things where that was what I want to ask as far as our offensive. Why is our shooter not shooting? I mean, is Sarah Puckett not our gal when it comes to just, shooting from anywhere on the floor?
For the most part, she is. I think she just had one of those games where she struggled. It didn't.
She only had 4 attempts.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like she got into the flow of the game the way that she really needed to, and she was 0 for 1 from the 3-point line as well. So
she was 3 for 3 from the free throw line. So I think she got fouled. She might have got fouled on the. I can't remember. I didn't watch the game. But she might have gotten fouled on the 3-point line, which would have been really nice if she nailed all those 3 free throws. But yeah, man, I just felt like she should have had more attempts.
Yeah. The only other thing from this game that I did not like was the very end of the game, close ball game. I know you're not a basketball guy, but even that close ball game, whenever you've got a chance to come back, you want to start fouling and try to put the other team at the free throw line, make them hit their free throws so that you can get the ball back and try to score on the offensive end. It was about 1:15 left in the game. Ole Miss had the ball, and Tennessee did not foul. Now, I don't think Ole Miss ended up scoring, but then Tennessee got the ball back and they turned it over. Still did not foul. Tennessee did not foul one time in the final minute 15.
Well, see, that's a risk you take. You choose not to foul in hopes that they don't get a bucket at all, because if you foul, you almost give up 2 points. Then you have to count on a 3-point, right? But you choose not to foul, and then you cannot turn the ball over, right? So at that point, they probably should have fouled after turning the ball over. I mean, look at Kentucky, man. They were fouling. We'll get into that game. They were fouling the men's team with like a minute and a half left, and they were down by like 15 points. Not really. It was like 10. But, they started fouling early. So, I mean, I completely hear you on your point. When you're only down 5, 3, 5, 7 points, whatever it was, got to get them on the line. Hope that they miss one, and that way, even if you get a 2-point basket, you still gain a point on them, and then you just keep doing that until you kind of work your way back into the game. So yeah, obviously hindsight always wins. You don't know why they didn't do that, but I'm not mad about the first choice of not fouling, because, like I said, you hope that your defense can step up, get a stop. They did that. You just can't turn the ball over in that situation, in that part of time of the game when you're really trying to claw back into it.
But that's all the thoughts that I have on the Ole Miss game. And if you don't have anything else, we'll move ahead to a higher note for the Lady Vols, as on Thursday night they played against the Georgia Lady Bulldogs in Athens and came away with a 95-73 win. So a big bounce back win for the Lady Vols. What are some thoughts that you have on this game?
That's how you respond. That's how you respond after a frustrating game, right? They didn't have a terrible game, but they came back, played Georgia, inferior opponent. All right, they're 10-11 now. They're 1-7 in conference, but they did what they needed to do. They came out, dominated the game, had a great game, got a big win to stay, 6-2 in the conference, stay at the top 3 or 4. Just a dominating win. It's always a good day when you beat Georgia.
Absolutely. And, Tennessee on the night, they shot 50% from the field. They were 34 of 68, as well as shooting 12 of 29 from the 3-point line, 41.4% in the game. Only missed one free throw as well. They were 15 of 16 from the foul line. So love to see those numbers. Out-rebounded Georgia 41-25. So big dominant night on the glass for the Lady Vols.
No,
and kind of looked like the men as well out there as far as getting assists off of their made baskets. They had 24 assists on 34 made baskets the other night. So fantastic effort overall. Other than that, everything else is pretty much even down the list. But the largest lead in the game for Tennessee was 24. So, 22-point win. Your largest lead was 24. That tells me that you did not take your foot off the gas the entire time. When you got that lead, you just kept building, and kept building in that game. So love to see that from the Lady Vols.
Well, this is a game where Jewel Spear, once again, 25 points. So back-to-back games with 25-plus points. Rikia Jackson chipped in 21 points. And then you mentioned it, how we only had two scores in double digits against Ole Miss. Well, we actually had a third. Tamari Key had a game, 10 points. Did great on defense, got a couple blocks. Actually, a block, but got 2 turnovers. And then we also had several folks at 9 points and 8 points, right? Like everybody was pitching in this game, and that was the key difference. But once again, I kind of want to ask you, because I'm getting a little nervous. Not in this game or whatnot, but is Miss Puckett in kind of a slump? Like, what's going on? She shot 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. She at least shot that. Shooters got to shoot. But in back-to-back games, and you only sink 1 3, and that's, I would think, your shooter player. She's always been that. What's going on with that? Is that just a slump in the midseason, or what's going on?
It's probably a little bit of a slump. It might also be hurt. We talked about kind of putting it over to the men for a second. Josiah Jordan-James, who, we'll get into, had a fantastic game last night, but he's been in a bad slump here as of lately. And, it could be one of those. I mentioned that Josiah was just trying to find his role with the team. This might be Sarah Puckett trying to find her role, because I believe Jewel Spear is a transfer in this year. I could be wrong on that, so don't hold me to it. But, it could just be her trying to find her role with Rakia Jackson and Jewel Spear getting in there. So I believe it's a little bit of a slump. But let me also ask you a question here. I'm not sure, how much Lady Vols you watch. I know this past week, I know you were real busy, didn't get to catch it like you would want to. Do you think that Tamari Key getting the start here over Caroline Strickland is more of a testament to Caroline struggling a little bit here lately, or more of Tamari Key finally coming back from that blood clot that she had last year, getting into game shape?
Yeah, this is all about Tamari Key and just how dominant she is, especially on defense. And so when she can carry that into transition offense, and she's literally the biggest player on the court. No offense to Caroline Strickland, this is all about Tamari Key and doing what's best for the team, right? I mean, having her out there, getting her a little bit more minutes, and you've seen it made a difference. It really did make a difference. But I don't know. I want to ask you, because you watch a little bit more than I do, but I did watch several games where I'm like, why is she coming off the bench when she's clearly, one of the difference makers in the games? I can't remember what game. I think it was Kentucky, man. She was just swatting, dude. Like, she was everywhere. I mean, and Kentucky kept trying. Made no sense to me. And that was a big reason why we were able to come back from like 16 points down. I mean, she just blocked like 5 in a row against Kentucky. And I'm like, how is that not, your starter right there down in the paint?
Yeah, I'm with you. I do believe this is more a testament to Tamari Key than Caroline Strickland maybe struggling a little bit. Because Tamari did have the blood clots last year. She was only able to play like the first few games of the season before she had to sit out the rest of the year. And she's only been averaging around like the 15, 16, maybe 18-minute mark of minutes played in a game. And you see here, she got to play 26 minutes the other night against Georgia. So I do think this is her finally coming around, getting into the flow of the game a little bit, getting more in game shape, which is going to be big going down the road for the Lady Vols.
I was going to ask you, do you think maybe conditioning had a part in that? Because before she was only playing 15 minutes,
I do. I think I don't know this for certain. I don't have the inside source on this, but I do think that she was still limited during like summer workouts and things, and that caused some of the conditioning that you get during the summertime. And she's just been finally getting that conditioning up a little bit here as the season goes on.
I'd still like the defense to defense did great, right? I mean, they win by 22 points, but still giving up 73. And almost giving up nearly, 46% from the field. But I got to give it up, man. We shot 50% from the field during that game, 34 of 68. Shot 12 of 29 from threes, brother. We were shooting. And that's what I was trying to get us to do against Ole Miss. I think that's something that really would have kind of changed the game a little bit for Ole Miss is shooting a little bit more, right? But 15 to 16 from the free throw line, like that. I love to see that, dude. I mean, if they're going to give you points, you take them. And that is the definition of doing that. 94%. Like I said, just did what they needed to do. They bounced back big to end the week. I think they play again today. But obviously we go live before that. But that's how you close out and bounce back from a rather frustrating loss against Ole Miss.
Yeah, absolutely. Lady Vols are live right now playing against Missouri. Looking at the conference standings right now, Tennessee is still right there in the thick of things. I did see Tennessee's going to have to go on a little bit of a run down the stretch here and then try to make a run in the SEC tournament, because as of right now, the Lady Vols are one of the first teams out of the tournament. And since the women's tournament has come into play, Tennessee has not ever missed an NCAA tournament. So
and that's where those injuries at the beginning of the year really sting, because they did not start out hot, right? But once they got healthy, they've been playing great, which is why that Ole Miss loss is really frustrating. Because what's at stake at this point. Like, you can't lose that many games in the beginning of the season. You lose that leash that you have, right? Because let's be honest, we're looking at the standings. You got South Carolina, Ole Miss, of course. They are, Ole Miss 16-5, but South Carolina's 20-0. They're undefeated.
And those two are actually playing right now as well.
Yeah, you got Tennessee slotted right there at third and 6-2 in the conference, but they're only 13-7 overall. There's not another team until you get to the 10th place team, or I'm sorry, maybe even the 11th place team in Florida in the SEC that is 11-8. Auburn, who sits at 9th, I believe is 14-7. So, I mean, that just shows you the difference. I mean, and overall records do matter, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I will say too, yes, there was injuries at the beginning of the year, which I do think played into those losses. But also, one thing that Tennessee can hang their hat on is they did kind of like the men did, and they scheduled a hard non-conference. I mean, I'm looking back at their season schedule. These are their losses right now. You had a 1-point loss on the road to, at the time, number 18 ranked Florida State. You had a loss against Indiana at home, who at the time was ranked 21. You had a loss to Notre Dame at home, who at the time was ranked 18th by 5. And then this one, I believe, was the first game without Rakia Jackson. You had a 20-point loss at home to Ohio State, who was ranked 16th at the time. Then you do have a bad loss to MTSU. And then you've got conference losses to Texas A&M and Ole Miss, who Texas A&M was a rough one because, they're not doing that well in the conference right now. They are 15-5 overall, but Ole Miss right now is tied with you for second place in the conference. So, the losses are not bad other than the MTSU loss right now. And you've got a chance to make a statement down the stretch. You've got Missouri today. You've got at Alabama to finish off the week. And then just looking ahead, you've got 2 games left to play against South Carolina, one at home, one on the road. You've got to play against LSU at home as well. Vanderbilt's still really high in the conference as well. You play them again, as well as trying to get revenge on a Texas A&M team next to last game of the year. So you've got a chance to make a big statement down the stretch here, and the Lady Vols are going to have to do that if they want to make it into the tournament.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I feel like I feel very optimistic. I mean, I feel like the Lady Vols are kind of putting it all together. Right to vape, brother. I see you. I appreciate you commenting on the stream. He said that Cameron Carr dude's going to be special. We'll see, baby. But no, you're starting to see Kelly Harper, Coach Harper, kind of adjust the lineup as needed, right? To hopefully put it all together and make a run here at the end of the season, last half of the season. I think there's about three, maybe 4 weeks left in the season. Put it all together, man. We gotta have everything, right? And maybe that's why you're seeing Tamari Key as a starter now, because we're going all in, right? We're putting all the chips in the middle right here, and because she knows what's at stake. I know SEC standings wise, we're up at the top. Yeah, great. But at the end of the day, we got to really start. At the end of the day, you win and you're in, right? And you could probably afford to lose 1 or 2 more, but you just got to win more than you lose to finish out the season. And, at that point, get in and maybe try to make a run. But I believe in this team. I really do. I know we've lost several games, but I'm telling you, when this team is clicking, that they look really, really good. And that excites me a little bit. And I know Kelly Harper's been taking some slack. It's funny how every time they lose a game, it's like everybody wants to fire her. And I kind of fell victim to that this year. But I was ignorant, didn't realize how banged up we were to start the season. I was just looking at results. And I'm like, man, this is not looking good. But if we get a healthy team, right, and we start clicking, we got the lineup adjusted the way we want it, I think we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country with this team.
I agree because, the injuries towards the beginning of the year, one of your injuries was to your number 1 player, Rakia Jackson, and now she's back healthy. And look at what this team's doing. Even in their losses, they're playing really, really tough right now. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to beat South Carolina, but I do think that they can play with South Carolina down the stretch here. And then that LSU game, that's going to be a very, very interesting game. It's going to be in the Food City Center. So
LSU's kind of in a slump right now.
Just a little bit. They
got beat by South Carolina, and it kind of shook them a little bit, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. But do you have any other thoughts on the Lady Vols before we move on to the Vols game?
No, man. Just real quickly, they are playing right now, right? They are playing against Missouri right now. Big game. Hopefully, I don't know the score update on that one, but
I've got it right here. It is 32-25. I've got it live on my phone right now. Tennessee is up. There is 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter, so we will keep you updated on that as we go along with the live.
fair enough. So they're handling business so far. They got to stay on top of that. But yeah, let's move on to the men's. But before we do that, I'd be remiss to not share something that I didn't do before we went live, and that is to remind you guys, as you're seeing, that we've got a merch store now. So I want to show you guys just real quick kind of what we got going on, and this is our official merch store. Where we've got everything right here. It is legit. I ordered some things last week. They all came in. You can see what we got going on here. Really proud of this. Something that pretty much anything you need for a starter pack, at least. We're kind of new at this, but I got the t-shirt, wearing the t-shirt right now. It's going to be an awesome gym shirt. But if you just want to throw a couple bucks, buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, whatever you want. We got the flat bills, which is what I'm wearing here, and you can get them in different colors. I've got the black one kind of behind me. You can see that, but we also have a trucker's hat. I know some folks would rather have the trucker's hat with the netting, so that's there. Just anything you guys need, we've got that going on, and we would really appreciate it if you guys would support it. So, but that is what we got going on.
Yep, and a shout out to you, Skylar. You've been putting a lot of work in on the behind the scenes doing that merch store. That's kind of been the thing you've kind of taken over. I've also taken over some other things, but
shout out to you for that.
So. Yeah, we're doing some good work behind the scenes. So without further ado, let's get into a game that I don't really want to talk about, but
we got to talk about
it.
We got to talk about it.
South Carolina comes into the Food City Center and defeats Tennessee 63-59. This game was on Tuesday night. Skylar, what are your thoughts on this game here?
I'm about to go in on this team, bro. Look, this is the product you get when you've got a superstar on your team and you just think that he's going to pull you out of anything. Every time it seemed like we were on an offensive possession, they would pass it to Dalton Connect, and it's like the other four guys on the court would just stop and like, all right, Dalton, go do your thing. And that's not how you're going to win. That's exactly how we're going to get in the tournament and lose in the round of 32.
And to your point there, looking at the stats here, Dalton Connect took 24 shots in this game.
He took the last 15 in the 2 minutes. I mean, bro was just shooting everything. And credit to him, he was making them fall. Like, nobody believed. Like, he shot that three-pointer with like 5 seconds left, and everybody was like, oh, my God. Like, this kid's incredible. But, no, this is something that was so frustrating, man. I kind of texted you and was like, man, if we don't change anything, we're not going to win anything. Like, we're going to lose the SEC tournament. We're not going to make it to the round of Sweet 16. It was pathetic, man. It was literally Dalton Connect and like nobody. What did he drop? He dropped like, hang on, let me see. He dropped 31 of your 59 points, dog.
Yeah.
It was, oh man. And I know there's more to it, but that right there, and I watched that game and to kind of see the team, excuse me one second. I credit them for being in the game. Like, they could have folded and lost by like 10 or 15, but our defense was good. But
that's the good thing about Tennessee is their defense is so good they can keep you in any game. But that's also Tennessee's downfall if the offense isn't playing well.
Yeah, man. And you could kind of see it. I think it was this game. There was a point in the game where like there was no fouls dropped like within like, I don't know, 4 minutes of gameplay. Like, you could see people getting tired, like wanting to come out, but like, at the end of the day, man, you just got to grind. Like, get to the rim. If shots ain't falling, attack. And but don't attack blindly. Like, I do feel like sometimes our guys do that. And Ziegler's one of them. I just felt like when they make the decision to cut and go in, they drop their eyes. And if they would just look up, you would see 3 guys crashing down on them when Ziegler, makes that cut to go in, where he could easily dish it out. Like, immediately when they take, and so that burned us on defense, recently, where Kentucky would do that. We would crash in and then they throw it back out the 3-point line, dude, be wide open, right? Yeah. And that's something that we got to do a little bit better at. But no, this game right here, it was frustrating, but I guess if you're going to take a silver lining around it, it's the fact that we stayed in the fight. It is kind of weird that all week last week we were talking about how it's hard to win on the road, and the road teams won this week. It was weird.
Yeah, I've got one big note on this game right here. I mean, I've got a few other things, but
let's hear it.
HYFT. Hit your free throws. They were 12 of 20 from the line the other night. You make 4 of those, the game goes into overtime. You make 5 of them, you win the game. Now, South Carolina was 15 of 18. They missed 3 of them. But, all right, let's say South Carolina makes all 3 of theirs. So that's a 7-point advantage. Tennessee missed 8. You make your free throws, you win the game.
And it's not like it was one, and it wasn't one guy. You had 3 guys basically shoot 50%. You had Dalton Connect go 6 of 10. You had Adu and Ziegler go 2 of 4. The only guy that actually shot 100%, and the only other guy that went to the line was Tobe Awaka, and he went 2 for 2. Credit to him.
Yeah,
credit to him. I mean, it was frustrating, man. The end of that game was like so wild because I'm like, man, this is why was there? And maybe this is a good question for you. Why wasn't there like that run that you usually see in basketball, right? Like you drain a bucket that kind of opens the lid. You shoot, you get about an instant, basically, 6 to 8 to 10 points more right after that. That felt like it never happened in the game.
So I do actually have an answer for this, and by no means am I blaming the refs for this because Tennessee had plenty to do with the reason. Reason that Tennessee lost this game. I mean, Tennessee shot 36% from the field, 24% from the three-point line, 60% from the free throw line. I mean, those are the numbers right there. Tennessee lost because they could not hit baskets, but that run that you're talking about did not happen because I don't know if you remember, it was about midway through the second half. Tennessee hit a couple baskets, and then there was one defensive possession, where they were literally called for 4 touch fouls on that same possession. And it changed how Tennessee started playing defense for a couple of possessions there because they were trying to figure out, am I going to get called for a foul that hasn't been called all game, or what's about to happen here? That is the difference in the game. Tennessee, they started to go on a little run. They hit a couple of baskets, but as soon as that defense position came up and those fouls were called, they just froze again. They were like, okay, what can I do? What can I not do? And then the run fell off.
Yeah. A couple pointers I want to talk about individually in this game. Ziegler had a bad game.
Very, very bad.
Probably the worst in his Tennessee career. Bad game. He played 32 minutes, which is probably his season low. 0 for 6 at the field, 0 for 4 at the 3-point line. I mean, his only 2 points were at the free throw line where he went 2 of 4 and only shot 50% from there. 2 turnovers. It was ugly, dude. That was the worst I've ever seen that kid play, and I'm so glad knowing now that he bounced back in a big way against Kentucky. But
you know me, I'm a guy that I always try to take a positive out of everything. It takes me looking back at it to be able to pull out that positive, but my positive for this game, Zakai Ziegler got his bad game out of the way. At least that's my hope, because he normally does have 1 or 2 bad games in the season. So that's one. He could have a second one down the road, but let's hope not. But we have not seen this bad Zakai Ziegler all year, and we saw it against South Carolina. I think it's out of the way now. He's going to be lights out from here on out.
Yeah, I hope so, because that was atrocious. That was terrible. But I will say this: we're starting to see that Vescovi kid click. He's starting to get back in his rhythm a little bit. He's getting there. And then what about our man Tobe Awaka? Like, you shot him out, like you called him out about a week or so ago. Like, man, this kid is not. He's not. I mean, he was playing, but he wasn't bringing you valuable minutes. After Adu had to be subbed out, he just wasn't doing it. And like the last couple of games, he has been.
Yeah, the last couple of games, he started to step up and bring in some valuable minutes, and that's a good thing. That's something that I've been wanting to see all year long, and we're gonna need it in a big way going down the stretch. Do you have any more on the South Carolina game? Because I am itching to go into Kentucky, and we can talk more about all this.
Well, I mean, we could, yeah. You know what? It's always a good time when you beat Kentucky, my guy. All right, let's get into it. All right, Tennessee hangs a freaking 100 in Rupp Arena. First time that's ever been done, I believe. In like the history of the series. Am I wrong on that? I feel like I've heard that before.
In Rupp, yes, I do believe Kentucky got to 100 a couple years ago, but I could be wrong on that.
No. I'm saying in Rupp, Tennessee scored 100 for the first time ever in like school history.
Yeah. I think that is right. But a fantastic game all the way around for Tennessee. What are your opening thoughts on this one, man?
Didn't he don't connect?
Exactly.
You had your game where Kentucky planned for Dalton Connect, and he still had a game. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't throw up that 30 that everybody was thinking he would. And in fact, both the star players for each team really didn't have the best of games for either team. But we've been asking for the team to step up. I think Rick Barnes got in there. Hey, double, you know what? After that South Carolina game because it was ugly. But, man, they stepped up in a big way. Missy Jones tunes in from Facebook. Hey, how are you doing? Sean from YouTube, the game last night, been the only one I've been able to catch, and that was absolute. Well, dude, we are the best team in the country to you then if that's the only game you've watched was that Kentucky game. My God. Yeah, dude, that was such a big game. Dalton Connect didn't have that takeover game that everybody was kind of expecting him to have. But one thing I would say, and I think the biggest difference in the game is our inbound offense is insane.
Oh, Rick Barnes is one of the best coaches in the country whenever it comes to drawing up those inbounds plays.
It's so good. And it the commentators were so confused because I think literally half of Dalton Connect's points are from the inbound pass, like straight pass, catch, shoot. And he did that at the rim like 2 or 3 times. And then they defend that. Then he catches it at the 3 and shoots a 3 and knocks it in. I'm just like, man, you can't stop it. Like, and that's such a good feeling to have, especially on the road when you know you got a guy that can catch it from the inbounds and just not miss. But one thing that's really underrated, nobody talks about it enough, is how good our passers are. I mean, we've got quarterbacks at every position that can literally put that ball exactly where it needs to be for a guy to make the shot. Like I think we did like 2 alley-oops. That's cool to see. I mean, because that's a teammate trusting another teammate. And like Estrella was one of them, and he's not even a starter. But Estrella threw it up to Jordan James, I believe, and I mean that was a good play.
That was a Cameron Carr. That was on that.
Oh, my bad, my fault.
Yeah. That was on that play. Reed Shepard got a steal off of Vescovy. Vescovy got it back. He dives on the floor, gets it to Carr, and then Carr just lobs it up to James at the basket. Just a fantastic series of events right there. But, man, these two teams were lights out from the opening tap. I mean, they jumped. It was very fun. Very fun. And, Tennessee jumped out. Kentucky brought it back close. And that's how it went the entire game was Tennessee would jump out a little bit, and then Kentucky would bring it back. Tennessee would jump back. And my favorite stat on this box score right here.
I know you're going to say it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say it. I wanted to say it, but you go ahead.
Kentucky did not lead in this game.
I wasn't going to say that, actually. Okay, fair enough. No, never a doubt, dude. Never a doubt. Somebody posted, was like, man, if I had a nickel for every second that Kentucky led, I'd be broke. I was like, you'd probably be broke anyways. But no. So my favorite stat is that every starter on our team had double digits scoring.
Yeah, that was awesome. You had
Jordan,
go ahead.
Triple J, bro.
Finally,
just
man,
unlocked the I don't know what he did. He ate the Wheaties, bro. But he started shooting, and my man was making them. I mean, he shot 9 of 18 from the field, 50%. That was 4 of 9 from 3-point. He was 4 of 4 at the free throw line. And he got a lot of rebounds, much needed rebounds. I mean, the second chance points in that game were second to none. I know it had to have been frustrating for Kentucky. I mean, that was when the quadruple technical foul, which I think was kind of bullcrap because they called one on Jordan Gainey for clapping, I guess. that was all because we kept getting the offensive rebounds. And it was really pissing off Kentucky. And once you get in somebody's, mind like that, when you start playing mind games, and I just love that Rick Barnes was there for it. I mean, Rick Barnes could have, really got into Tobe Awaka, benched him, whatever, but he didn't. He actually supported the guys during that moment. And I don't feel like Tennessee players really did anything wrong. That was kind of a cheap shove by the Kentucky player right there, number 2. I can't remember his last name. But it was a pretty cheap shove over nothing. I mean, the guys were just fighting over the ball. And but Tobe Awaka really didn't do anything. He just he stood his ground. That's all he did. And but regardless, I love to see that cheapiness. I mean, that's what the rivalry is all about right there. And no, man, that's what a game. I mean, that if that's what we can do, now that's something you're not going to be able to replicate week in and week out. But if we can click like that in March, Final Four is there.
Absolutely.
Final Four is there.
Absolutely, at the very least.
Because we were talking with Jay Hayes, which shout out to Jay Hayes for joining us last week. I mean, we were talking about depth. We were talking about foul trouble. Foul trouble got into Kentucky a little bit. And they already had a guy that I guess didn't play. I think his name was TJ. I don't remember his name.
DJ Wagner.
DJ Wagner. He didn't play. I guess it was a sickness or something like that.
And you also had that the Big Z. That's what they call him. I don't know how you say his name. Jay said he struggles with it as well. He also did not play. He's been dealing with some sickness or whatever. So those are 2 big key players that Kentucky did not even have last night, and it did show.
Which I know Jay wasn't counting on that because he knew, or he thought that they were going to have those players ready to go, which is why you would have thought. The bench wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but when you lose those 2 guys for Kentucky, that does make that does thin out the lineup a little bit. And I'm not taking away anything from what Tennessee did, but it was very special. Jade joins us on Facebook. Let's go, boy! Yes, ma'am. It was such a big game for Tennessee. I think for confidence sake. I mean, let's be honest, one of those 2 teams were going 0-2 for the week. And in a conference where you can't do that. And it feels good to be on the right side of this. I would like to give myself a bone and say I was the only one that called that we were going to win at Rupp Arena last week. But I did go ahead and say that we were probably going to lose the season finale. But right now I'm 1 for 1, so we're going to keep it like that. I hope to be 1 for 2, honestly. But no, big game. And what I guess surprised you the most in this?
What surprised me was – Jay also mentioned when we talked last week, when it gets if this game was to get into an up and down, fast paced game, he felt that Kentucky had the advantage. And honestly, for the most part, I felt the same way. I thought Kentucky would have that advantage. And Tennessee said, okay, you want to play that pace? We'll play right back with you. And it was just fast paced the entire way. How well Tennessee played that type of game yesterday is what impressed me in the game. But believe it or not, with how fast-paced it was, there was only a total of 13 fast break points in the game. Kentucky had 9 and Tennessee had 4.
I got to give credit to the defenses on that because they were getting back. Anytime somebody would get get a turnover or something, they'd chuck it up the field. I mean, what about that block by Adu?
Oh, man.
Right at the rim.
That was something else.
That was dirty.
But Kentucky had some good blocks too.
Yeah, they did.
You saw the
Don Connect got freaking rejected. Yeah, he got absolutely rejected. So I mean, I give a ton of credit on one defense that's known for being good. Kentucky defense really struggled this year, but they did really good in transition. I'll give them credit for that. And that's why you only seen less than 10 points each for each team on transition. And in a game where you would think transition's literally a quarter of the points because of how fast they were going back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's.
But you mentioned earlier how both of the star players in this game, they were kind of quiet compared to what they have been, and you're 100% correct. But I do credit that to both teams' defenses. Antonio Reeves, he had 21 points on the night, which I didn't really feel like he had that many. It was a very quiet 21, but I guess it's because a lot of his makes were around the basket. He only shot 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. He started
0-3. He started 0-3 from the 3-point line. right?
Yeah.
In the first half.
Yeah.
A lot of his points came in the second half where he was getting inside, getting those kind of easy buckets. We had some defensive miscues, but you're going back and forth like that. Kentucky had their fair share too, where Ziegler's just getting to the rim really easily.
Yeah, and then you had Dalton Connect. He had 16. He was 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from the three-point line as well. He was 5 of 5 from the line. So, both of these teams, they had their star players not have their best performances. But, man, I've got to give a shout-out to Rob Dillingham, man. He
6
was
of 8
unconscious.
From the three-point line, dude. 6 of 8. Why did he stop shooting? Like, I mean, with those odds, brother, you just keep pulling. I mean,
well, he got in foul trouble. He actually ended up fouling out with about 2 or 3 minutes left to go in the game.
But that's not what really. So what hurt him is not necessarily fouling out at the end of the game. It's where he picked up the 4th foul with like 13 minutes left to go in the game, and then he had to sit until like the 8-minute mark where he got to come back in. That I think hurt Kentucky more than anything. And I asked, I said, I felt like foul trouble was going to be an issue just because it's a rivalry, right? Referees are going to do whatever they need to do to make sure things don't escalate. And so they're probably going to call some bogus calls just to keep everybody at bay. And I think that quadruple tech is one of those where I felt like maybe 3 people got techs that probably shouldn't have, but they did that on purpose to just, tell people, hey, chill out, because they actually even counted those as personal fouls. And that's why Rob Dillingham, I think, got into foul trouble. I think he was one of them.
Yeah, technical fouls also count as personals.
Yeah. But, that was the difference in the game, I think, more than anything. But
I've got to give a shout out to one person that we have not even talked about in this game yet. We talked about him in South Carolina, Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah.
And I called it before the game. I said, Zakai Ziegler is going to have a breakout game this game because of how bad he played against South Carolina. And boy, did he have a breakout game. 26 points, 13 assists. He was 8 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. So all 3 of his misses were from the three-point line. And then he shot 7 of 10 from the free throw line. And, 2 of his 26 points, that one possession where he had to just catch and shoot real quick right before the shot clock expired. I mean, he was on a different level last night.
In a game where you make 12 3-pointers and Dalton Connect only has 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy, dude. Like, you had Ziegler go 3 of 6, right? Vescovi, 3 of 4. My guy, come on now. And then Triple J go 4 of 9 from three-point line. That, like I said, that's something that's going to be hard to replicate. But, man, if we can figure out how to do that, if we can have all 5 of our guys shipping in 10 points a game plus, holy moly. Like, that, sign me up. I'm ready. Like, put us in March. I'm ready to go. I mean, that's awesome, dude. And I will say this: Gainey didn't have a lot of points, but the dude was a difference maker. He played. The dude was a difference maker on the court. Like, you knew when he was out there, and he did it early. I think he got his 5 points like within the first, 3 minutes of the game. I mean, I was like, oh man, this guy's about to pop off. But then the other guy stepped up. So,
and him and Owaka both, because you mentioned Owaka in the South Carolina game, how he stepped up. He only played 10 minutes in the game yesterday, but the minutes that he played were huge. And it was like every single rebound that was out there whenever he was in the game, he was getting. And that's what led to the little altercation over there that the 4 technicals were called. He went and got that rebound, and he was just pivoting, trying to find a guy to get it to. And Kentucky is just sitting there trying to rip it away from him. And he's like, no, you're not taking this ball from me. And I actually have a tweet I want to read out real quick. I won't put it I won't put it on the screen share, but Wes Rucker from 247 Sports, he goes, a very Zakai Ziegler moment in the press conference. He said he laughed during the Tobe Awaka versus Kentucky's entire roster scrum because he's tried to get Awaka that mad before in practice and couldn't do it. So,
which is surprising because I feel like Tobe Awaka would be high strung, right?
He kind of seems like that kind of guy, but apparently he's a really
Very
chill
laid back.
guy.
Well, then that's probably a full circle moment with the team then, because they're like, man, there it is, finally, right? And so, you know what? That's probably one of the coolest moments as teammates you probably ever have during a game, is when you finally see the potential in a player come out, right? Like
Yeah,
you've been working on it all season for multiple years, whatever, and then to see it happen right in the middle of a game, and like you know in that moment all the players are like, there it is, that's what we've been needing. Like that's probably a really cool full circle moment, and that is kind of, I wish I would have heard that in the press conference. I might have to look it up and go look at that.
Yeah, but I do want to pull this comment back up real quick that Right to Vape put, that Cameron Cardew is going to be special. Yeah. Y'all have heard me talk about Jemai Meshack is my guy. That's my favorite player on this team. I'm excited about this Cameron Carr guy.
Hey.
He hadn't got a lot of minutes here lately, just as a freshman, but he's going to be something special. He's very athletic as well.
I'm glad he got some playing time in a game like that too, right?
Yeah.
Because how often do we see it in football where like a freshman doesn't get a ton of playing time and they leave or whatever? It's good when you got a guy with that type of potential get in a game like that, even for a few minutes, and he delivered like that pass that I was telling you about, bro. Like that was QBR rating 99, dude. Like that was solid, and that's what allows these guys to go out there and have some fun and make some big plays, big momentum changing plays, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So big game, always a good day when you beat Kentucky, because I swear every year we beat them in football, they're like, wait till basketball, and then we send them back to the coal mines.
One question I have for you, I do want to bring up some Kim Palm stuff just briefly, but I do have a question for you before then. SEC Player of the Year. If not Dalton Connect, then who?
If not Dalton Connect, it needs to be that Kentucky kid. If it's not Antonio Reeves, it needs to be Rob Dillingham. That dude popped off. But no, I think that the only guy that I think is comparable with Dalton Connect is Antonio Reeves. If I'm wrong on that, by all means, correct me.
No, I agree. I think it's got to either be Dalton Connect or Antonio Reeves. The only other guy that I might throw in there would be Mark Sears from Alabama.
Triple J.
Well, the way that he struggled until last night. But the only other guy I would throw in there would probably be Mark Sears from Alabama. He's had a good year. He's tied with Connect for leading scorer in the SEC. But just the things that Antonio Reeves and Dalton Connect have done during conference play, I believe it's them two or nobody for SEC Player of the Year. But I do have the Kim Palm stuff right here. So the past, I don't even know how many national champions it is. They have all had a common theme. They have either been top 20 or top 25 in both adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. And if we're going by that right there is only 6 teams right now that could win the entire thing. Now, but in full disclosure, I printed this list off last night before the Kentucky game ended. So some of Tennessee stats have been updated, and they are actually in this list as well now. So that would make 7 teams.
Okay.
But those teams are Houston, Purdue, UConn, Arizona, Auburn, and North Carolina. Those are the teams that are both top 10 top 20 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. Now, for those that might not understand what I'm saying, that the adjusted offensive efficiency is how many points you score in 100% possessions. And adjusted defense is how many you give up in 100 possessions. So Tennessee, in this list I printed off last night, they're 27th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They score 117 points on average in 100 possessions, which is really good because I looked it up. The average for the past, I think it's 7 national champions, is 116.9. So Tennessee is right at that average.
And that's before the Kentucky game.
That was before the Kentucky game.
Which
that number is
go up.
Yeah, that number is rose, and I've got it pulled up that I'll read in a second. But Tennessee, and this is a good thing, they are number 2 in adjusted defensive efficiency behind only Houston. Tennessee gives up 90.9 points in 100 possessions, and the average number of the last 7 national champions, 89. So Tennessee is right on par with those numbers right there. And then the numbers after the Kentucky game last night, Tennessee is now sitting at 15th in adjusted offensive efficiency. I'll get the words out eventually.
Yeah.
Sitting at 118.8. And they are still second in adjusted defense behind Houston at 92 exactly. So you can add Tennessee into that list right there as far as teams that rank in the top 20 in both the adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. So Tennessee's got a chance when you look at the numbers like that of being one of the teams to win it all. And to give a little bit of insight on Kentucky, they are in the top 10 in the offensive efficiency, sitting at 119.8, but they're 75th in the defensive efficiency at 101.1.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this about, full picture. That South Carolina loss sucked. I hated it. But South Carolina's a good team.
They are.
Good team. And for people that don't know, because they've kind of flown under the radar, South Carolina's 19-3 on the season. And they're 7-2 in the SEC. No reason whatsoever they should have been ranked when Tennessee was playing them. I mean, they had already beaten Kentucky. And obviously they beat us as well. They are literally sitting one game back of Alabama, who's sitting 8-1 in the conference. But I think everything is still there and achievable for Tennessee. Now, obviously, the margin is very slim, but we're a game and a half back because everybody's played. I think we've had our bye week before everybody else did. I'm assuming that's what happened.
We did.
So we're a game and a half back, but we're pretty much right there tied for second. And if we can get tied for first with Alabama, we'd actually have the tiebreaker over Alabama. So as far as the 5 losses that Tennessee has had over the season, probably the best 5 losses. I hate to say something like that, but probably the best 5 losses a basketball team can have in a season between, I think, Purdue, Kansas, Arizona. I can't remember the 3 teams that we played back-to-back in the beginning of the year.
So
Purdue, Kansas, and North Carolina.
And those 3 losses right there, Purdue is ranked number 2 in Ken Palm's rankings.
Yep.
Let's see, North Carolina is ranked number 7 in Ken Palm's rankings. And Kansas is ranked number 13 in Ken Palm rankings.
And South Carolina is going to be in the top 20 after this week, 100%. And
yeah, well, Ken Palm, they are down a little bit. They're 42, but they'll be in the top 25 of the AP for sure.
Yeah. And the only loss in there that really, really stings is that Mississippi State loss.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what was going on that game, but regardless, still as a collective, I mean, if you're going to have 5 losses in the season, and 3 of those teams have some of the biggest centers in the game, and one of the best players in America, right there with Dalton Connect playing that position. I think that's the Purdue kid, right? Edey.
Yeah, Zach Edey.
Yeah, I mean, just one of the best players in the nation. Probably going to be the first overall pick in the draft. So I mean,
so you bringing him up. Let me ask a quick question that it shouldn't take but a minute to answer. Do you think it's down to Zach Edey and Dalton Connect for National Player of the Year?
I think it is, and if Dalton Connect finishes the season right, Dalton Connect wins it. Dalton Connect is more of a complete player.
He can score at all 3 levels, whereas Zach Edey, he's a guy that's got to be around the basket or the free throw line.
And he still scores as much as Dalton Connect. So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, scoring. But, yeah, if you're looking at a complete basketball player, Dalton Connect's that guy.
Yep, I agree.
100% that guy.
So, do you have anything else on Tennessee? I guess the only other thing I have is they will be playing 2 games this week. You got LSU at home on Tuesday night, or is that Wednesday night?
Tuesday.
That is Tuesday. No, it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Wow, I didn't realize they played on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesday night at home against LSU, and then next Saturday they travel to College Station to play against Texas A&M. So 2 tough games coming up as LSU just absolutely dominated Arkansas at home yesterday. And then Texas A&M is just steady Eddie. They gotta come back win yesterday against Florida. So going to be 2 tough games, but 2 very winnable games for Tennessee as well.
Hey, with 10 games left to go in the SEC slate and the regular season, over under to be a number 1 seed wins, by the way, is what I'm talking about. Do they have to win them all? Can they go 9? Can they go 8?
I'm going to say that the very least is going to be 8 games that you have to win. And I think to stay on that one line, like I said, 8 wins, I think you've also got to win the conference to get that one line. Win the conference.
I think
win the conference tournament.
Usually they say what they want about the SEC tournament, how it doesn't really matter. But if you're going for number 1 seed, I think you're absolutely right. I think you have to be playing your best ball right at the end of the season to maybe give you that jump to the number 1. Because right now, I think they're probably solid number 2 seed.
I agree. I think that they're a number 2 seed no matter what, unless they just fall off the table, which I don't foresee happening. Yeah. I think you're a solid 2 seed regardless. And right now they are sitting on the 2 line in the updated bracketology. Awesome. And believe it. How about this for a full circle moment if it was to happen? The updated bracketology, you got Tennessee sitting at a 2 seed. And then if they make the round of 32 and the other team does as well, they will be playing against former Rick Barnes assistant coach Kim English in round 2, the head coach for Providence, who is projected to be a 10 seed.
Hey, bring it on, dude. And for folks that don't know, because I know there's some folks in here watching to support us and probably have no idea what we're talking about when we talk about seeding. The big tournament is in March. It's called March Madness, and there's 64 total teams. There's 68. I'm so sorry, I can't do math. And there's 4 total brackets, if you will. And so it's 1 through 16 each bracket. And so there technically is 4 number 1 seeds. There's 4 number 2. There's 4 1 through 16. So as long as we finish, top 8 in the country, you're guaranteed a 2 seed, or not guaranteed, but you have a really good chance at the number 2 seed. There it is. Yep. I figured.
Appreciate your honesty, Jay.
Yeah. So, but the fam checking in, supporting, but, no, it's, so basically, if you're top 4 in the country, which Tennessee was right on the verge of, but they lost to South Carolina, we may stay put after beating Kentucky. But if you finish in the top 5, you got an absolute chance to be the number 1 seed, which is basically the best team in that bracket. And that really puts you in some really good shoes as far as trying to make it to the Final Four. Because if you make it to the Final Four, that means you won your bracket, and then you're basically in the semifinals to win that national championship game. It's a big tournament. No other really sport, no others. I mean, baseball does it. It's pretty much the same thing as baseball. Baseball just does the regional, super regional, but it kind of works the same way. But it's hard to keep up with, but it makes it really fun, especially if you got a big group together and you do a bracket. So, Jade tunes in. She said, right, so I can at least know what I listen to on Sundays. That's exactly right. And we appreciate you tuning in. I was hoping with us being live on Facebook, it was going to make it a little bit easier for some friends and family. And it has been, man. We've been rocking on Facebook. We've had 6 to 7 viewers nonstop this entire stream. We appreciate you. I think we've had right at 5 or 6 on YouTube the whole time as well. And we always appreciate you guys tuning in. But without further ado, let's
Tennessee,
talk about,
without a doubt, Jay, Tennessee has got to be your favorite basketball team come March.
Yeah, definitely not any blue team.
No, absolutely.
No blue teams. No blue teams allowed.
No, absolutely not.
Or that team down in T-Town.
Yeah. So before we move into our next segment, I do have one other little announcement that I want to make here. So if you have been following us on social media, as most of you have, you've kind of seen a graphic been floating around a little bit of some things to come. So I'm going to pull this up real quick and let you guys look at it. I believe, yep, this is the right one. College podcast realignment is coming. As you can see here on the side, you've heard of the college football realignment that is happening. Now get ready for college podcast realignment. Coming soon, there'll be a new college sports community, and we are proud to announce that the Vol Fanatics Show will be the official Tennessee Volunteers representative. Stay tuned on this. We'll have more coming up. There'll be another teaser graphic to put out somewhere around Valentine's Day, so in about a week and a half. And we are part of, as of right now, 30 podcasts that are in a group together, and we're basically adding new ones almost every single day. And each one of us posted this on our social medias on Thursday of this past week, February the 1st. And just on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, alone, we've reached over 25,000 people posting these graphics. So, and like I said, that's just Twitter alone. That doesn't include, we posted it on Facebook. Did we post it on Instagram, Skylar?
We did, absolutely.
Yeah, Instagram. I know I posted on my TikTok, and each one of these other guys, they said, we posted on Facebook, Instagram, whatever social medias we have as well. So getting the word out there, and some big news to come in April of this year.
So a lot of shout out to multiple people. Obviously, you've been doing a lot of behind the scenes with the college huddle and what that's becoming and what that's going to be, and the fact that we get to represent our team and our university and be the exclusive team to do so. I think that's really cool. And that's a massive shout out to what you've been doing behind the scenes, and the Discord that you guys are in to kind of communicate back and forth. Massive shout out to you. I'm going to second shout out one of the ladies that's in these comments, because for work, I have to have an app called Notability. And I've been using that app to create some of these cool graphics. So shout out to that. I'm supposed to use it for work, and I do. But I'll also be using it for some of these graphics, like the one you're seeing in the background of this podcast. So no, it's really fun. But no, what you're doing behind the scenes with Eric and the crew up there at the Ohio podcast, they've been tuning in. Y'all seen them here before. It's really cool. It allows us to do these collaborations with other channels a little bit easier. We had Jay Hayes from Kentucky Religiously Sports Podcast. He was here last week, and that was super fun. And I really do hope to be able to do that a little bit more, especially during football season. The goal is to have basically every SEC team, every college team.
Yeah, every Division I college team. The goal is to have a podcast for each of those shows as well. Come on now, Skylar. You gotta make sure you say her name whenever
I said my boss. I said my boss. Everybody knows who that is. It's also my mom. All right. Anyways, Misty Jones. Thank you. Anyways, so no, that's big stuff, man. It really that's massive stuff that we got going on, and really looking forward to it. I think that's going to be really fun. And the goal of it is, man, to support everybody. I mean, we're all kind of smaller channels, relatability, but we're here to grow each other's channels and to have fun with it. And I think we're doing that. So, but let's talk about the fun news that dropped earlier this week, like literally a day after we went live last week. And what did Tennessee receive in the mailbox that day? The email inbox. What did they get?
And Tennessee got noticed that there was NIL allegations coming down the pipeline there. It first came out that it was across all sports at Tennessee, not just football. But it's basically come down to one thing. Supposedly, Nico Iamaleava, whenever he was in the recruiting process, he supposedly signed an NIL deal before he officially signed his letter of intent, and at some point was given a plane ride on a private plane from Tennessee's NIL collective. Was it Spire Sports?
That is Spire Sports Group. Yeah.
So supposedly that is that's the NIL allegations that everyone has been, or that the NCAA has come out and said is going on. But you want to tell the folks, what Tennessee responded with, or what happened after that?
All right, so Tennessee got hit with this investigation 2000, whatever. It's never ending. Tennessee kind of responded. I know that's pretty small on the screen, but there's been multiple responses. But the biggest, I think, I call it the FAFO, and you can fill it out if you know what I'm talking about. The FAFO moment with Tennessee athletics is they, along with the state of Virginia, has actually filed a federal lawsuit against the NCAA for these investigations that are basically bogus. And I'll go ahead and read this out to you because I know you can't really see it. But the state of Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Virginia bring this antitrust case against the National Collegiate Athletic Associates, so the NCAA, has started enforcing rules unfairly to restrict athletes can commercially use their name, image, and likeness, better known as NIL, as a critical juncture in the recruiting calendar. These restrictions violate the Sherman Act and harm the states and the welfare of their athletes and should be declared unlawful and unethical. I don't think that's what that says, actually, but it's pretty much the same thing. So literally, basically what we just fired back with is NCAA has been changing their regulations like every year or two because NIL was such a such a big thing. And then they just kind of in 2020, there you go do it. But you can't do this. And then it was like, okay. And then in 2021, it was like, oh, you can't do that. And you've already done it, but you can't do that anymore. And they kept doing that. And now they're going after Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, over something that the collective did that has no ties to the college whatsoever. And they're basically calling it unethical because I think a little bit more detail is the fact that, and I think you mentioned this, is that the Spire Sports Group flew Nico in on a private jet, but they paid for that. Every college in America is doing that. And that's no secret. That's why you're seeing the SEC. That's why you're seeing fans of other teams, honestly, not give a crap about this. I don't know if y'all watched the Paul Feinbaum show. There was an Alabama fan that called into that show and was just like, so what? And he knows Nick Saban did it illegally the whole time. And so basically NCAA is allowing folks, or NCAA is basically trying to crack down on something that there's no rules on. And so Tennessee has kind of had that FAFO moment, right? FAFO, you can fill in the blank. And they're not going to take it. They're not going to be pushed around. Tennessee was probably the most I don't know the word I'm looking for, but worked together with. They really did a great job with the NCAA over the Jeremy Pruitt stuff. They literally did the investigation for them. They worked out ties, and but anyway, so having them now come back at us to try to make us an example of something that everybody's doing was a little wrong. And Danny White and Donnie Plowman let them know that. And I think you have the statement pulled up from Danny White if you want to show the guys what he responded with in the midweek.
I will pull it up right here. So this is a statement from Danny White, and once again, I know it's small, so I'll read through it for you guys. The NCAA generally does not comment on infractions cases because there is a rule against it. So that's one thing right there that the NCAA is completely wrong on, is because there is a rule against commenting on it, but they did comment this time. Anyway, however, that has not stopped them in the past from leaking information to the media as they did this week about us. Their actions made this ill-conceived investigation public and forced us to defend ourselves. It is clear that the NCAA staff does not understand what is happening at the campus level all over the country in the NIL space. After reviewing thousands of Tennessee coach and personnel phone records, NCAA investigators didn't find a single NIL violation. So they moved the goalpost to fit a predetermined outcome. They are stating that the nebulous, contradictory NIL guidelines written by the NCAA, not the membership, don't matter, and applying the old booster bylaws to collectives. If that's the case, then 100% of the major programs in college athletics have significant violations. This is obviously silly and not productive, as is blaming the membership whenever they are challenged. We need to be spending our time and energy on solutions to better organize college athletics in the NIL era, something that the NCAA leadership failed to do back in 2021. Student athletes, prospective student athletes, coaches, and administrators across the country deserve better. And I love this from Danny White. And I refuse to allow the NCAA to irrationally use Tennessee as an example for their own agenda.
You know what's crazy is look at the second comment right there in the comments. Kentucky fan here, and I stand with Danny White. Folks know this is bigger than Tennessee. This is bigger than Tennessee. If they push around us and allow them to do that, right? What's going to stop them from coming after the next school or the next school?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is something that it's going to cause a civil war between the colleges and the NCAA. And the reason why I say a civil war is because the NCAA is literally not the NCAA without the colleges that freaking make it, So it's NCAA is really stepping over the line here, in many ways, and the reason why I say it's going to get ugly because this is not something that you just pull it back, say I was just joking, I was just testing the waters, right? This is something they poked the bear, and we're coming, and it's not just us. It's a lot of folks. Something that's actually big, and this is going to happen. Everybody's been talking about it. On3 come out with a report and says the SEC and the Big Ten have announced the formation of a joint advisory group of university presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors. It will address significant changes facing college athletics and more. I'm telling you, this is bigger. This is bigger than what we're doing. All right, and there are a few folks out there. It's like, well, if you just want to violate recruiting violations, then they wouldn't come after you. Okay, buddy, we didn't. That's the thing. They're trying to make something out of nothing for literally no reason whatsoever. I don't know what their agenda is. I don't know if they got a tip off from another university that maybe they're trying to follow through with. But everybody knows behind closed doors that every school is doing everything that we've done, and it's supposedly the correct way to do it. But they just don't like the way we did it, so they want to change it again. And that's what Donde Plowman basically came out and said. That's what Danny White's saying. Like, look, you've not had a clear structure on rules and regulations on NIL since it began, so you're not going to hold us against it. It's been forever changing. Like they've basically demanded them to come out with a clear structure on NIL for folks to follow, because how hard is it to recruit a kid when we're already starting to recruit in 2026, right? And you've got these laws that you've got to follow, but then maybe next year they change, and now everything you've just recruited this kid on, you have to change everything.
Yeah.
It's bullcrap. It's dumb. It's stupid, and that's why you're starting to see these collectives form, these organizations begin, which have already began. I mean, this is just first time it's gone public. And, this is something that could change college football forever, and your boys are in the front of it.
Yeah, and, I was trying to find this tweet real quick, and I did find it. J.D. Pickle of On3 Sports, he said, this is not Tennessee versus the NCAA. This is college football versus the NCAA. The mistake that the NCAA made here was getting Tennessee involved in this, trying to poke the bear, so to say, of Tennessee, because Tennessee is not afraid to get this started. Yeah. Absolutely not. They are not afraid to get this started. And the fact that Tennessee hopped on with it, Donde Plowman and Danny White, they fired right back at the NCAA. And then you see the state of Tennessee, Bill Lee, governor, and then the Commonwealth of Virginia, both of them, they joined forces there to file the lawsuit against it. There's going to be many more people that are going to hop on, many more states, many more schools going to hop on this lawsuit right here. And I've got a feeling that Florida is going to be one of the top ones, because both Florida and Florida State have both had NIL allegations against them as well. One of them for Florida is for Jaden Rashada, who they never even paid. I know that's part of the issue there is, they guaranteed him so much money, but they never even paid him.
No. And one thing that gives me as a fan, I was listening to the Eric Ainge show earlier this week, and Brian Rice, the not the main guy, but basically the radio character for that show, was like, how concerned should you be as a Tennessee fan about these allegations, about this investigation? And he was like, to be honest with you, 7 out of 10. He was like 7 out of 10. But then that article dropped, and he's seen that we're filing lawsuits against the NCAA. And then after what Danny White and Donnie Plowman said, which they could only say if they know for 1,000% they did nothing wrong, he came out and said 0 out of 10.
Okay, so that's
zero
the thing.
worries as a fan of what's going to come out of this.
So that's the thing right there. Let's back up just a little bit. So Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt, they did that. Jeremy Pruitt, everything that came down because of that.
We deserved it.
Yeah, we deserved every bit of it. But Tennessee was completely cooperative.
They were compliant. The word that I was looking for. They were compliant, right? They fired everybody. They emptied house. Yes. So at that point, you would be punishing a bunch of kids and coaches that had nothing to do with it. But that's what a university does. You're supposed to get out ahead of that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we weren't able to find the Donde Plowman letter before we went live, but I do know this from the letter. She fired back at the NCAA and said, during all the lawsuits or all the violations that Tennessee had over the past couple of years because of the Pruitt situation, Tennessee has apparently gone from being the example that every single college, every single athletic department, basically every single high member of the university, they've gone from the example that everyone needs to follow to within 6 months being that they need to clean house. They need to get every single administrator and all that out because of the stuff that has happened there. That just doesn't add up to me. And, how is Tennessee going to go from being the example and being completely compliant through it all to all of a sudden, oh, we're hiding stuff. We're hiding. We're not going to release this to you, or we're doing this wrong, and we're going to make you look for it, and all that. I think that Tennessee is completely in the right on this, and I said this before some of the other information came out. Tennessee firing back the way that they did, from Donde Plowman to Danny White to the Tennessee government filing a lawsuit against the NCAA. You mentioned Tennessee has absolutely nothing to worry about. They are completely in the right over this. I don't see any trouble coming for Tennessee down the pipeline for this. This is just the NCAA digging into something that they're not going to find. And, we mentioned it in the Danny White letter. He said the NCAA is trying to move the goalpost to a predetermined outcome that they want to have. And, you mentioned Brian Rice earlier. I'll actually put the link in the YouTube description. I'll share it on Facebook. If you get a chance, listen to Will West of Tyler and Will in the afternoons from the Sports Animal out of Knoxville. I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday afternoon in hour number 1. He sounded off on the NCAA, and I loved every single minute of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comment by Danny White was the strongest comment that he could have made to move the goalpost, which I liked it because we tore down our goalposts not even a year and a half ago. I was like, yeah, I like that comment. Yeah. But to move it to a determined outcome that we all know that this is going, right? Everybody knew when NIL started, it's not just going to be sunshine and rainbows, dude. Like this is going to be something that's going to lead into something. And to be honest with you, I can't believe it's the NCAA that's trying to force that to happen. Like, I thought it would just come naturally, right?
Yeah.
But what I think happened is NCAA seen how compliant we were the first time, and they thought they could get one over on us. Like, hey, let's go after Tennessee because of how well they handled the last one. Let's see if they'll just do it again. Nah, that ain't happening. All right, because we worked together the first time because we were in the wrong. And, yeah, we were trying to save our own butt, whatever you want to call it. But they made the right moves for that. Now you're trying to come after us, and we didn't do anything that no other team in the nation ain't doing, right?
Yeah.
It's just not right. It's not right. I don't know why they did it, but I'm telling you, this thing is not going to end pretty. It's not like they can just withdraw, right? I mean, because technically an investigation has not necessarily been declared. It's been leaked that they were going to do it.
Well, I did see that, and that was actually on JD Pickle's page there. Pickell. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I did see that he shared it. So the NCAA was supposed to have a TRO filed by 6 p.m. yesterday.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
And I was going to say, I never did see if they did it or not, to which case, if they did file that TRO, then Tennessee and Virginia would have until 6 today to counter that. But yeah, I hadn't seen anything saying that they filed that. So
no, NCAA right now has their tails tucked between their booty cheeks, and they're sitting in a corner like, what do we do now? Because we weren't expecting that type of response from Tennessee. So credit to the leadership of Tennessee, man. I mean, this team that came in right after that whole Pruitt Fulmer era. I mean, you got Danny White in there, you got Donnie Plowman, Randy Boyd. They ain't messing around. They know what they're doing. They're making improvements to the university, the campus, the stadiums need it. All right, I'm tired of peeing in a horse trough in the men's bathroom. It's a little weird, not gonna lie, but they are literally doing everything possible to make campus better, to make life better, and to make sure that we truly are one of the top programs in the country.
Yeah, and kind of getting off subject a little bit. Tennessee right now, I believe, has got the best athletic department for sure in the SEC, if not the entire country, because you look around the entire sports landscape right now, you've got Tennessee football is, sitting top 15 in the country right now. You got Tennessee men's basketball sitting in the top 10. They have been sitting in the top 5. Tennessee women's been down a little bit this year, but they're still, they were a Sweet 16 team last year. They're still one of the top teams in the conference. You got baseball went to the World Series last year. Softball also went to the World Series. They won the conference tournament last year, and they're projected to win it again this year. And then you look at a lot of the sports that we don't even, cover very much. The tennis team for the men's has also been doing very well. The women's has as well. Track and field, gymnastics. You go down the list of Tennessee sports, and every one of them is in the top half of the conference. I mean, they've got things rolling up there in Knoxville.
It's healthy. I'm not going to say it's the best, and the only reason why I can't say it's the best is because there's one thing missing in all that.
It is a national championship.
None. Zero. And quite frankly, there's not a ton of SEC championships. You got one in baseball tournament and regular season 2 years ago.
Last year.
You got softball last year. You had the men's basketball in, I think, 2019?
2021.
2021, I'm so sorry. So, I mean, you've got some SEC championships in there, but zero natties. And until we start winning some natties, I truly believe we would be the best athletic department in the nation. Right now, we're a solid second to anybody. We're second because we are literally top of the nation in every conversation in every sport right now. And that is something that we couldn't say 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yep. I agree with you on that. And Catherine, I did not ignore you. I was just waiting until we got done with the segment there.
Yeah, you did.
I'm working on it. I promise. I just hadn't got on the merch store and ordered anything yet, but I will this week. And hopefully I will have some merch by next week to wear on the show. But and also
I gotta do something to make up for forgetting my mother's name, Misty. She actually got me a little present. So I'm gonna go grab that real quick and I'll bring it back and show the folks what she got me. But I'm gonna hide real quick. If you want to give some closing remarks, and then I'm gonna come back, show off that little gift, and then I'm gonna give our exclusive partner a shout out, and then we can close out the show, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that'll work. And also, Justin, we did touch a little bit on the LSU game. We didn't go in depth on the LSU game, but my personal opinion going into this game, I do think that Tennessee should get a win in this one and should be pretty comfortable. LSU has picked up this year. They were down last year with a new head coach. They lost basically everybody to the portal or even I think one or two might have gone to the draft. I mean, they basically lost the entire team last year and was in the bottom of the conference, but they are they've definitely picked it up this year. Matter of fact, they destroyed Arkansas at home yesterday. But I do believe that Tennessee should get a win in this one, especially if they play like they did against Kentucky last night, the full team effort. And right now, just looking at ESPN matchup predictor, which I take with a grain of salt, Tennessee has got a 93.1% chance to win this game. And when you look at the matchups down through here, Tennessee, they do score more per game, and they also give up less per game than LSU does. And basically every single stat down through the list there, Tennessee has an advantage on. So I do expect Tennessee to come out with a win in this game. I do expect it to be a good game for a little bit, but then Tennessee kind of breaks it open a little bit in the second half.
Yep. And to that, we also talked about how to finish the season, how many wins do we need to have to, one, retain the second seed and then possibly get up to the number 1 seed. And to do that, we gotta beat LSU. Check this out, dude. You see this? You see that?
Yeah.
This is legit, dude. This is a gift, a Christmas gift. Obviously, I've been trying to do some work with the branding, but Misty actually got this made up with a lady that actually does a lot of our work embroidery. And so she sent over the logo, got me this jacket made up, and there's your shout out. There it is. This is honestly one of the coolest jackets. I try not to wear it that much because I like it a lot. I'm wearing like that, like jerseys, I like that jersey a lot. I stopped wearing it. That's Eric Berry signed that thing for me. But no, man, really cool thing. But before we wrap up, I'm going to give our brand new exclusive sponsor of the stream back out with Chris Smith Insurance. Your home, auto, commercial, life, toys, anything that you need. If you don't have an agent that you know, like, and trust, then you should call Chris and his team. When his customers have a home claim, he will actually meet the adjuster on site. He is one of the very few. I do a lot of restoration work, and I meet adjusters quite often. He is literally the only agent that I've worked with in the first year and a half here in Knoxville that actually comes out to the homes. He is not lying about that. He even says that not too many agents do that. I second that 100%. He is your advocate and not just a salesperson. All insurance is not equal. For all your insurance needs, give Chris Smith a call at 865-272-3387. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very fun episode of the Vol Fanatics Show. Michael Allen, do you have anything to close out?
So, you see the ticker going across the bottom of the screen there. That is all of our socials. And well, Skylar, read that all for us real quick.
I forgot to show this earlier. I forgot to show this. So for all the Rick Barnes haters out there, my guy's only 7-1 versus top 10 Kentucky teams. 7-2 when both teams are ranked. He's 4-1 when both teams are in the top 10. Rick Barnes is now responsible for half of the Vols' all-time wins at Rupp Arena. I got this from Vol Scoops. Shout out to Vol Scoops on Instagram. Rick Barnes is becoming Kentucky's daddy, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the socials, give us a follow on all socials. We got Facebook. You can find us at the Vol Fanatics Show, Twitter at Vol Fanatics 1998, Instagram at Vol Fanatics Show. YouTube is also at Vol Fanatics Show. Spotify and Apple are both the Vol Fanatics Show as well. Also, you can find Skylar on his TikTok. It is at Vols Fanatic 343. Mine is at Michael Allen 802. I do have an update over here on the Tennessee Lady Vols game. There is 4 minutes, 15 seconds left to go in the ball game. Tennessee has got a comfortable 75-56 lead. So looking like a big win for the Lady Vols, trying to start this next week off right. If you missed any of the show, we will be posting it on This will be immediately available on YouTube. It will be posted on Apple and Spotify after this. And we also try to share it to our social media pages as well. Check out the merch store as well. Skylar has done a fantastic job working on that. And Skylar, you had anything else for us?
Hey, let's lead this damn cavalry, my boy. Let's take down the NCAA. Go Big Orange.
Absolutely. Go Big Orange, guys.